gentlemen, thank you for being at this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Would everybody please rise? And, is it Susan? And Councilman Lupinacci is going to lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Today's date is Wednesday, January 20th, 2016, and I want to thank all of you for being in attendance this evening. We hardly ever have this many people at a Town Board meeting unless there's something on the agenda that, brings people here to the Town Hall. So maybe we should always put something controversial on the agenda, Frank, to get everyone here? Or? No, let's waive that. Let's not do that. But thank you all for being here tonight. And I know why everyone is here, or most everyone is here. And once again, thanks for showing an interest in this and participating in town government. It's good to do that. It's healthy, and you have to keep your town boards in check from time to time. And how you do that is from the public by attending town board meetings. So thank you. Okay, the public hearing this evening is on a proposed local law enacting Chapter 44 of the Town Code of the Town of Carmel entitled Parades, Events, and Street Closings. So before we get started, we would normally at this time, I would ask the town clerk, Ann Spofford, to read the notice of the public hearing that was published in the newspapers. But we're going to waive that this evening, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Councilman Lombardi.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask that the I'm going to ask that the notice be waived for one particular reason, and if you would just oblige me. After speaking to some members of the public, some of them who were here this evening, I think I have a pretty good compromise with regard to Section 44-13. So obviously, there's not going to be any kind of fees talked about for anything coming up this year in 2016. But in the event that we want to have the public participate in these discussions, my suggestion is this. After sentence 2, where it says the
4413.
4413.
Everybody turn to 4413. It's the last page.
Got it, Allison? Yes. All right. So where it starts, the fee schedule shall. So the fee schedule shall be, and I want to add in, set after a public hearing and shall be broken down into 3 categories, respectively, et cetera, et cetera. And then the last sentence, I'm asking that we remove that last sentence, and it says the town board reserves the right to waive or modify these fees, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to ask that that be taken out because we don't want to get into a situation where we're going to waive them for some, maybe waive them for others. That's not the right thing to do, but the right thing to do is to, if there is ever a time when we as the town, and I mean we, all of us, feel that we require some financial assistance from those who organize the parades, and that day may or may never come, we will have a public hearing where everybody is able to participate and hear reasons for and reasons against. But because it is a substantial change of the law or of the proposed law, we have to renotice the public hearing. All right, I'm sorry to bring everybody out tonight, but I do think that, and after speaking to some people, I think that might be a good compromise because you'll always be part of the process, and I think that's what you always want to be, is part of the process. So, Greg, we'll have to renotice it for 45 days or so.
No, it's a substantive change to the proposal.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, most definitely.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, it's a substantive change to what you proposed, so it has to be renoticed.
Right.
And technically, it's something that would just notice a new public hearing, not a continuation of this one. You just renotice the law, and although it's a substantive change, it's a relatively simple change.
Right.
So it's something that could be in as early as, next week's paper, but you have to reset the public hearing.
Right, so
You do that by motion tonight if you want. But you'll have to do it. So my guess is you'd probably be late February when you'd have a public hearing on that once you met your notice requirements.
All right. And,
You want to, so you want to go over the change one more time?
yeah, so.
Just so that.
So basically, it would be Section 44-13 under fee schedule for parade and events. The second sentence that starts, "The fee schedule shall," and we're going to add in language, "shall be," the new language would be "set after a public hearing," and "shall be," and then continuation broken down, et cetera, and then we are asking to delete that last sentence that starts with "the town board" and ends with "respect to the same."
I thought that what you were going to do is delete "the town board reserves the right to modify the fee schedule at their discretion."
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, you're right.
Okay,
Up to-
so
Up to that
it-
point,
it-
I apologize.
It
My
would read,
mistake.
"The town board may seek input and recommendation from the chief of police
Right.
with respect to same."
You're right, I'm
But the-
sorry.
the clause with respect to the waiver or modification would be
Right,
deleted.
right.
So that entire sentence, "The town board reserves the right to waive or modify the fee schedule," this is coming out. We're removing
You're going
that.
to take out, in that model, it's up to you, but what I see is you're taking out from reserves to discretion.
Reserves the right to waive and modify the fee schedule at their discretion. And the rest stays in.
Which you don't want to get into.
We will seek input
I don't
from
think
the
it-
police chief, right?
And you're going to leave the police chief in?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Got it, Greg?
That works for me, if that's what you
Does
want.
does everybody have that? You understand what we're changing?
We're gonna,
Okay.
can we still allow them,
Yeah,
No,
the
just,
public to
we are.
make
Yeah,
comments,
it's a
just in
public
case
hearing,
there's
yeah.
other stuff?
You have the open.
Okay,
Have you opened it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so what we're going to do is,
I would go by row.
we're going to first open the public hearing, and we're going to allow, since the public came out for the public hearing, we are going to allow you to come up and speak with the understanding that we are making that change to the proposed ordinance. All right, so everybody understands that. You can come up and speak, but understand that we've already made a substantive change to it, and we want to hear what you have to say based, on that, but we have to open the public hearing first.
Just a quick question. On that, in February, there has to be a new public hearing on this then.
it's going to be,
Yes,
correct.
yes. Right, because we're making a substantive change to the proposed ordinance, so we're required by law to have another public hearing. So we will. Okay. All right, so I need a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Schneider. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, okay. All right, we're gonna first start with the list, whoever signed up to speak, and then what I'll do is, after everyone has spoke that signed up prior to the meeting, then I'm gonna open up the floor to any other comment the public may have, who didn't sign up. Okay, the first speaker is Pat O'Malley. Pat?
Good evening, everybody. Hi, my name is Pat O'Malley. I'm here as a representative as the Northern Westchester Putnam Parade Chairman. And I want to just say thank you to members of the committee that are all here, as well as the sponsoring organizations for that parade. As most of you know, that parade has been on, we're going into our 40th year. We have never had any issues with the parade. When this proposal, and we've kicked this around at our meetings, we have a monthly meeting, we've gone over it over and over, and the general consensus of the majority of the parade committee is that there's really no need for this law to come into play. As I stated, we've been doing this parade for 40 years, going into our 40th year. I understand that there's costs associated with the parade. We raise most of those funds by fundraising. We're a nonprofit, so we go out, it takes a few dollars to cover insurance, to pay stipends to the bands, to advertise, to do programs, to get trophies. And we're fundraising for all of that, along with the business community. They support us greatly. So to add more, especially, and I realize you just looked at the fee schedule, but to add fee schedules and to add more costs onto the parade virtually is gonna crush us. It's gonna force us to not be able to put a parade on in Putnam County. We'd have to look elsewhere, and we don't want to do that. We've been thrilled. The first parade was held in the town of Carmel, and since then, every other one's been right here in Mayapack, down Route 6, and that's where we would like to stay. But if we start having to raise more funds to cover public safety costs that they talk about in here, which I'm assuming is going to be some of the highway and or law enforcement, That's their functions. That's what we pay our taxes for, is for public safety. That's the primary mission of any law enforcement agency, is public safety. So, no, you don't have to have these special events. No, you don't have to do all these things. But that's also one of the reasons that makes our community what it is. That's why everybody comes and moves to this community, because we do things like this and have probably the third, I've been quoted or been told it's the third largest in New York State. The Chamber putting on their street festival, all the events that do go on, that's what the appeal to people coming here and living in this community is. So for us to turn around and have to pick up and move would be a great shame. I appreciate the board looking at that regarding the fee schedule, and I'll take it. It's definitely a step in the right direction. But I do have to reiterate that we are opposed to any law being put into place. We don't really feel that there is a need. I understand that the board may, but I'm hoping that we can sway some votes and that it's not needed. Like I said, we've been doing this for 39 years without any major problems, any major incidents. Along with, I'm not sure how long the Columbus Day Parade's been out there doing it. I know that the Chamber started their street festival several years back. There's a lot of these things that are done by volunteers and not getting any payment for it, and for us to have to start raising funds to pay salaries of people that we're already paying for doesn't seem appropriate. So I would ask the board to reconsider not even getting involved in street fairs, events, and festivals, and stay away from it altogether. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Pat. Okay, the next speaker is signed up. Next speaker is John Malloy. John?
I don't know if you could read it. Hello, my name is John Malloy. I got here 29 years ago, and I joined the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee so it would be something non-controversial that I could do here in town, and here we are. The federal Constitution guarantees us the right of assembly as part of the First Amendment, so it's guaranteed by the federal Constitution. Any effort by any government arm to remove part of that right has to be supported by a public safety reason. That's the only reason you can do it. State law, the New York State Town Law, Section 170, gives you the right to regulate parades and events. Like Pat, I'm opposed to this regulation that's before you, the one that we were going to talk about tonight. And frankly, I agree that these parades that we have, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Columbus Day Parade, and the Fireman's Parade, they don't need a permit. They don't need the town's help. They're happy to show Mahopac and the town of Carmel in the best possible light with families together, little boys and little girls with their parents. St. Patrick's Day celebrates the coming of spring. It's usually just before the weather, or just after the weather turns nice. But there has to be a public safety reason. Now, I've been to 29 St. Patrick's Day parades here, and I've seen any number of politicians walk in every single St. Patrick's Day parade that I've been to, so I can't imagine that it's dangerous. Most of the people that you see walking down routes, not most, but many of the people you see wear uniforms during the week. They're law enforcement, they have bands. So there must be some reason. It occurred to me that perhaps this was an effort to defray the cost. And I'd suggest to you that the cost to the town is non-existent. This is something that people do for the town to show the town in the best possible light. We have more commercial vacant property on Route 6 than any town that I go to, and I travel 5 counties regularly. We have vacant stores and vacant lots where people don't want to build a building yet. D'Agostino's is closed, the place across the gravel pit is closed. We have to do something. When I moved here 29 years ago, there were 3 car dealerships. There was a Chrysler, where there's a gym now. There was a Chevy dealership, Fisher Brothers, where there's a car wash now. Park Ford is left. When Park Ford came to the town, they wanted to put a second sign. The town said no. Park Ford collects $1,317,000 a year in sales tax. We should treat them right. We want them to stay. There's an oil tank in the back of Gino's parking lot. There's a piece of property back there that looks like a movie set.
John,
I know,
I hate
I
to,
know.
you're getting way off topic.
Well, I'm
Let's go
not,
back to the
because-
parade ordinance. What is the tank, that abandoned tank, which I happen to agree with you, is an eyesore, it's a blight in the community. We're trying to get that removed. But what does that, or Park Ford having 1 or 2 signs, what does that have to do with the parade ordinance?
If you're looking to raise money, to defray the cost of the police at the parade, you build one building on one of these vacant lots, it'll throw off enough taxes to pay the police at every parade for the next 20 years. Each year, they will.
That's up to the property owner to build a building on their property. It's not up to the town of Carmel.
It's up
We
to
don't
the-
decide that.
It's up to the town board to create the brand of Mayapack and the brand of Carmel to attract people to come here. We went to Skaneateles this year. Skaneateles has a lake that's not as nice as our lake. But you know what they have? They have characters at Christmas time walking in the streets saying hello to the people. They have a unity in the business community. There's plenty of things to do if you want to raise money to defray the cost of the parade, right? Now, my problem with this proposed statute is it's void as ambiguous. This is an event under the definition in that statute. Any gathering of the public in a public place, this is a gathering. Sunday Mass would be an event requiring a permit. So that has to be worked on. You have a great attorney up there to give you the words, and I'm sure he would be willing to look at it. The other thing is control. The events that you have now, the parades that you have now, reflect the values of this community. There are organizations who don't reflect our values. I submit that we probably want to keep those organizations out of town. But you can't do it by making a statute requiring a permit, and yes sometimes and no sometimes. You have to do this right, and I'm going to ask you to please work on it so that it is done right, so we can have parades that reflect our values and keep out other people with different values.
All right.
Thanks very much. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, John. I just want to, for your benefit and
Yeah.
the benefit of the audience here and the public, this law, this parade ordinance event law, you know who proposed it and you know who drafted it? The Town of Carmel Police Department. We didn't. Lieutenant Brian Karst from the Carmel Police Department worked on this for years. This wasn't done within 2 or 3 months. It started probably in 2010 or 11. I helped him out with it somewhat, but he should take credit for all of it. They proposed this. They felt that the town of Carmel, because we have so many events and functions and parades in the town of Carmel, that it was necessary from a law enforcement perspective to have this. So the fee part of it is just a small part of it. It's everything else that's contained within this are guidelines. And if you read it, I think you may have, and if everyone else here reads it, there's a lot that has to do with safety in here. Has a lot to do with safety and control with respect to the marchers, the spectators. There's rules and regulations that have to be followed. That's why we're doing this. It was a police department request. So when you mention law enforcement, they wrote this. They proposed this. We had a very, very small part of this that we were involved in. So it is a law enforcement request from Carmel PD. They felt it was necessary. We have a 2 or 3 page list identifying events and functions, and we welcome every one of them. We want this community to have all these parades, events, and all these functions that go on, but there has to be some control of them. There has to be some regulations in place, some rules and regs to follow. So the fee part of it, I understand that. Nobody wants to pay additional fees. And you heard what we spoke about earlier, that we're going to modify that. But the rest of it, there's reasons why we identified, or the police department identified certain controls that they want to put in place. That's all. So it's not just this town board. We just didn't decide to do this. The police department requested it, that we should have one.
And I think-
They felt it was
And
necessary.
I think one of the
We agree
reasons,
with it.
I think one of the
We agree
reasons.
that there should be order, and we agree
I
with
think
that.
one of the reasons why, I'm sorry, Kenny. I think one of the reasons why it was actually proposed by the police department and some of their personnel, there's been a couple of times over the last couple of years where we've had, especially like in the months of May and June, where we had 2 and 3 and 5 different events going on at the same time throughout the town. They all require police protection and safety, of course, but you know, you could either, it's almost a feast or famine type of thing. We either have 5 events all over the place, or we have none. So if this kind of even created a quote-unquote event calendar where the police department was able to say, okay, well, we have, you know, such and such dates, the Emerald Societies wants to do their parade. Well, on that day, we have 3 other things going on. Can you move it to a different day? This way we have coverage. This way the public is safe. Same thing, you know, and I think that's really one of the reasons why we wanted to try and create this little bit of a calendar, and that's kind of what the permits would kind of do, is to let the police know, hey, you know, in June, on June 5th, there's potential of 3 different, you know, jamboree, you know, some kind of walk, something up in the hamlet, and it's very difficult for the chief to provide for the safety of all of those.
Well,
Ken, if
Frank,
I
that-
may, can I
yeah,
address what you said?
Yeah.
Because you don't really think that I came up here without reading the statute, right? And when I
that's
read
why I
the
said, I'm
statute,
sure you read it.
yeah, when I read it, I read the definition of event. And it says, any formal event, assembly, or gathering other than a parade in or upon any street, park, or other public place in the town of Carmel. Everybody who gathers in the library every day is gathering in a public place. Every time you have a board, if a statute is ambiguous, it's void, it's unenforceable. That was my point about the ambiguity. As far as safety, I don't see how a permit is going to make it safer. If there's a safety issue, the public should be made aware of the safety issue. In 40 years, we haven't had an incident at any parade that I can speak about 29 years. However, the police have a television the same as I do, and they know what's going on in the world. And they know the kind of people that are in the world and the kind of people that are coming here. And I absolutely agree that you should have some control over who can use our streets and who can use our public places. But just take the ambiguity out of the statute and let people know that you're not trying to suppress. You know, it's a cost saving if you shorten the parade by 50%. That'd be a tremendous cost saving. Well, we don't want that. So, you know, I don't want to fight with you. I really don't. Thanks
No,
very much.
I wouldn't say we're fighting. We're
No,
having
no,
a
of course not.
discussion. We're having a dialogue. It's not fighting.
course.
But I just wanted to correct some of the things that you stated. The safety part of it, the safety aspect of it, is not the application, and it's not the permit. It's the ordinance. It's what's included in here is the safety aspect of it. And one of the first people that the applicant has to meet with, you know who that is? The chief of police. The chief of police shall file an application with the chief of police or his designee on forms provided by the chief of police or his designee. We want the groups and organizations, whoever's hosting it, to meet with law enforcement, to meet with the police, because they're the ones that are going to provide traffic safety, crowd control. They're going to set up the details where they deem them to be necessary. It's not this board. They are. So they're the ones who encouraged us to do this. I just want to put that out there. We just didn't come up with this that, oh, let's enact the parade ordinance. It's because the police felt it was necessary because of all the events that we have in this community. So, you know, I don't think you can argue with that if it's the police that are asking for it.
Mr. Malloy, a quick
You know, I
question
just
for you.
want one last thing, and just ask you to remember that this is an unfunded mandate. You're giving these organizations work to do and forms to fill out and committees to form, and without the funding. So the unfunded mandates that I hear everybody complaining about all the time, now you're doing it. So,
Mr. Malloy,
No,
question for you.
This
Aside
isn't
from a
an
fee-
unfunded mandate.
Aside from a
not an
fee
unfunded-
schedule.
No,
it's not
it's not.
funded,
Of course
and it's a
it's not.
mandate.
Can I just?
All right, go
Not
ahead.
funded.
Go.
Just so aside from the fee schedule and the definition of event, if it were to say at the end of event,
You're going to be laughing just like I am.
if it were to say at the end of event that require additional personnel for traffic safety, crowd control, or et cetera, as the police, what else would you have an issue with? And please don't take it as anything towards one parade, because this is, from the list that I saw, dozens of events. I can't tell you how many. The total cost was, like you said, de minimis compared to what it does. Not saying that all the events bring a lot of money into any local merchants. A lot of the runs, a lot of the bike rides, things that literally just passerbys, people who come through and they're gone. That is what it is. It's part of what we have in our community. It's part of our beautiful landscape. We have no public access for a lake, which is an issue that we really do need to address here at the town board, which we can do by purchasing land, which we have to look at. There's no public access for a lake, which very, very much limits what you could do for tourism. Aside from that, I'm trying to figure out, aside from what you have on the definition, what else? Because there is something that needs to be done. It's come from the police, it's come from many different people who are involved, that there is something that needs at least to be put in writing in order to at least have controls. Not that it's an unfunded mandate, because if there's no fee schedule, then you don't have to worry about funding, because there's no funds that are involved. But other than the definition of event, what more would you like to see changed? Because we already know that we're changing the law in one way. What else would you like to see changed in this proposed law? Because that's why we're here for a public hearing.
So you're giving me way too much credit. I couldn't possibly stand here and formulate the words for a statute. But I tell you what, I'll volunteer to do that, and I'll meet with you in 2 weeks, and I'll give you the words that I think would be appropriate in that statute. How's that?
I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't, because I definitely know that we want to get this public hearing rescheduled because we know that there are some things to address. So let's continue to hear what other members may have to
No,
say.
I'd prefer that Mr. Malloy identify those in public, here, at a public meeting.
I'm sorry?
Identify the you said that you're willing to meet to discuss changes with respect to the ordinance, and you
Well,
have some ideas and thoughts?
I'll come
Well,
in
then
public.
Well, do
I'm not
it in
saying
public. You don't need to meet with Councilman Schneider or any other board members in private to do that. I think the public, in all transparency, let's do it at a public meeting. The next time we have a public hearing, you're welcome to bring those suggestions forward.
Can you have your meetings on television? I don't. If you want me to come in here to one of your meetings and discuss the definition of where this should apply, what events should apply, I'll come in public. That doesn't bother me. No problem. But I thought maybe John and I could have a discussion if this is something that was bothering him.
If you and Jonathan, Councilman Schneider, want to have a private discussion, that's fine. But I think what you're discussing, or what ideas or thoughts that you may have, need to be shared with the public.
I think we're only discussing the definition of an event so that we exclude things that happen like people walking together in the A&P or used to be the A&P. And meetings like this, we want to exclude these things. You don't need a permit to go to 11 o'clock mass. But if you want to have an organization and you want to pledge allegiance to some flag and you want to do it in a public place in our town, I think the permit might be apropos. But we have to get the statute correct. That's all.
Okay.
And I think one of the reasons that we do have the public hearing, I mean, this is a quote-unquote, this is a proposed law. This is not the law. The reason to have a public hearing is, me personally, 1 out of 5, I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room. I don't think I'm the smartest person in town. So if somebody else who has a better understanding of a definition bring it on, and let's incorporate it into the statute. And then the statute's not finalized until we vote on it. So it's proposed, the public hearing can stay open week after week until we get it the way the public likes. That's fine.
I thought I was offering to help. I didn't think I was. It seems uncontroversial no matter what I say. But
No, you're more,
Forgive me.
like I said, you're more than welcome whenever we have the next public hearing, if you want to give us better definitions, what you, that's fine.
I'll do it before that.
That's fine.
All right?
Yeah, and you could sit down if you want. Just a couple, a couple other items, just in regards to some things that the town board has done, because you do talk about very important things, like bringing, what we can do to bring people to the community. So we've worked on a downtown sidewalk project. I'm not gonna say revitalization, because we can't, at the present time, without code, put in effect that building owners have to do things to their buildings. But we can work on sidewalks like we're doing, lighting like we're doing. We're trying to work on the infrastructure. So those are things that we worked on. Park Ford, every opportunity I get, I try to get a vehicle from Park Ford because I love the owner. I've worked with them on multiple boards. I think they're probably one of the greatest businesses that we have. Regardless if he was here or if he was a mile down the road in Somers, the sales tax is going exactly where the sales tax is going, which is where the resident lives for where they buy it. So that's neither here nor there in regards to an argument for that. But Park Ford, I love keeping him here, and I'd love it if we had a few more people like him in the area who were bringing employees into the area, bringing people in who are going to spend money at the merchants. But for sales tax purposes, town doesn't get any benefit from it, unfortunately. Nor does the county, because it's all about where you live. But aside from that, I'll definitely meet with you anytime. most people, well, I'm not going to say most, but some people definitely know. I get calls at my office and calls at my house. Both numbers are listed, so I'm in town. I'm here to talk. That's what you guys elected me for, whether it's to be controversial or to be given good information that can help us. It's appreciated.
Okay. Yes, Pat?
I know I have my...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Pat, yeah.
Just regarding that the police department is the one that came to the town board asking for this, is there a way that we could find out what those concerns were? Because we meet with them and have met with them every year. We meet with the police chief.
I don't mean to interrupt you. One of the main reasons is what I just spoke about. It has nothing to do with your parade, has to do with, there are times in town when there are 3 and 4 different events going on at the same time, and there's a problem with covering.
With manpower.
With manpower and spreading out, if, there's a lot of things that are at the same time. And they
Okay.
all deserve, they all deserve 100% safety and manpower from the town. So that's really the impetus.
My understanding from a lot of the different organizations and the Columbus State Parade is that those people, we are meeting with the police chief already and have been for years. And planned on continuing
Yeah, I
to do
mean,
that, so.
when one of the groups, a couple of years ago, wanted to have was it breast cancer walk or whatever, I said, call the chief. Set it up with him as far as, the logistics, and I'm sure it's no problem, and that's exactly what they did.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
so
just
it's
want to
it's
know what
really
the
a-
main concern was from the police department as far as the public safety on it, and it sounds like it is manpower, though.
Pat, what it is, year after year, there's more and more people coming in for it. If it was back 10 years ago where you had the standards, the St. Patty's Day Parade, the Columbus Day Parade, you probably would not need this. But now, every year, there's more and more groups that are coming to the police chief and to the town that want to have something. So that's the need. That's why the chief and Karst put this together.
Okay.
There's also something else that could be discussed. When I used to live down in North Carolina, parades, events, public events where there were large gatherings, there were a lot of retired sheriffs, retired military, retired fire, people who had communication training would go and get recertified. They would volunteer. They would be basically parade volunteers, event volunteers. So as far as manpower goes, there are ways that we can help work around it as long as we can all figure out a way to make sure that it's really in the public safety best interest. But as far as coordination, then there's also going to be issues if there's 3 events at a time, cutting off major thoroughfares for ambulance, things like that. Your background, I think you probably know a lot of the logistics that would be involved in that. But the public safety issue is the major concern. Manpower is something that we could definitely address, but we would have to make sure that we can get also a core group of volunteers who would want to come out and say, I've done that kind of thing in my career, I'm retired and I want to get back to my community. That's another way to help give back to the community, but it's something that we need to work on and negotiate, and because it comes down to contract issues as well. But these are all things that we can definitely work out, and for the interest of the events to continue and make sure that we keep drawing the public out and bring the attention to the town in a good light, it's important. So I think working together is where we're going to get the best resolutions for everything.
Thank you.
Okay, there was someone else who did sign up to speak, so we're going to go to them first. Faith Ann Butcher.
Hi, I'm speaking with you as the treasurer of the Greater Mahopac Carmel Chamber of Commerce. We're 400 members strong. We're commercial and nonprofit businesses in the Mahopac Carmel area primarily. And, I just want to give you a list real quick. The Northern Westchester Putnam St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Memorial Day Parade, Relay for Life in Mahopac High School, all the firemen's parades, the FOP 9/11 ceremony at Cornerstone Park, the Columbus Day Parade, Veterans Day, the Holiday in the Park, and Holiday at the Lake. Also the Triathlon, the Putnam County Classic, which is the 4th of July Taconic race that happens every year around Lake Mahopac. These are all community events. These are the reasons why I moved up here. I came from Long Island. I wanted to have, Main Street USA for my kids and everything like that. These are, what makes a community a community. We're talking more about the fee structure, and I know that it's on hold and everything like that, but it's still something to consider because it does have an impact also on the local businesses, because a lot of these, we don't have public access to our lake. As discussed, we rely on these events to bring people in. The street festival brings in between the street festival and the Columbus Day Parade, we get about 10,000 people into our small hamlet of Mahopac, in which case, if you go to the businesses, they're seeing that. They see that traffic and people come back. We also have that with the St. Patrick's Day Parade. They have the option, it's the Northern Westchester Putnam St. Patrick's Day Parade. They could very easily move it to Yorktown, which does not have a fee. Okay, and then we lose thousands of people, and I think, if you've ever been along Route 6 after the parade, most of the restaurants are very busy, and it could have a significant impact on our Route 6 corridor. So I just need, for us to be able to consider something like that, because also, you don't want to actually end up having to charge the veterans. Memorial Day and Veterans Day, those are the days we should be honoring those who served, not charging them to have a parade. Okay, so the years of financial mismanagement of the town, in which I know that none of you have been on for decades, but the decades of mismanagement really can't be on the backs of the first responders, veterans, and nonprofits. You need to look deeper into the thing, and we need to find different solutions. I'm all for accountability. I think having permits and having schedules, is a great idea. But charging these nonprofits who have such small budgets to begin with, these are all grassroots efforts. We don't have a Hewlett-Packard. We're not getting IBM sponsorships. We're not getting Pepsi sponsorships. This is $50, $5 at a time that's making up these budgets. And every little bit that's taken away, even our street festival, we give the same amount that we make from the street festival in scholarships every year to the graduates in Mahopac and Carmel High School. So don't take that money away from the community. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker. Yeah, Mike?
Hi, Mike Borelli. I've been here 43 years, and 43 years ago we had the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Columbus Day Parade, the Veterans Parade, the Firemen's Parade, and 30 years ago we had that. 25 years ago they started with the race around the lake, and you both have valid points. Before I even say what my point is, I just want to say that I've come to more meetings in the last 40 years than I think any human being in Mahopac. You said that John Malloy was getting off track. I've heard thousands of people here speak. Nobody as eloquently as John Malloy touched on things tonight that you five guys should pay very close attention to. He was really right on. And it's not the parade, it's not the town, it's the community. And Faith hit it perfectly too. But now in the summertime, there's something every week. You need some kind of regulations. I understand that. I'm quite sure they understand that too. So it's getting the happy medium. That's the important thing. But listen real closely to what John and Faith said, because they hit on the button. Down to what this is supposed to be about, Mr. Schneider asked, is there anything on here that you'd like to see changed or added? Yeah, there is something on here I'd like to see added. On the 4411, number C, great, finally, because the stuff thrown into the crowds, half of it stays on the ground. And number G, I think it's interesting that you put in here, entries involving animals of any kind must provide their own cleanup or pooper scooper immediately following their entry. You don't have anything in here about cleaning up or pooper scooping after the parade. And for the record, I will say that this St. Patrick's Day Parade is the cleanest parade I've seen. So before I get stoned as I sit down. I'm referring to the ones that go through the middle of town. Okay? They're disgraceful. The town has left a mess of paper on both sides of the road. And if you're raising this kind of money to run a parade, I can't believe you don't have a couple of kids or sons or daughters at a high school that could follow the parade route on both sides of the street and pick up the garbage. I've complained about this a couple of times after parades, and there should be a bond posted. Anybody in the town that runs through downtown Mahopac, and everybody knows who and what I'm talking about. You can't clean up the area where you set up and you break down and disregard the rest of the town where you march. So I would hope that you would put in here if this is enacted, a cleanup clause at the end of the March. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else like to come up and speak? Allison?
Hi, Allison Winstanley. I am a member of the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee, and I'm also a member of a couple other organizations. Personally, and I'm going to speak on a personal level, and I've spoke to a few of you on the board, I agree with this. I think that we do need a code, and it does help the town for safety reason. It does help the parades or any of the events that take place. However, although I like what you have changed in here, we would really like if you could think twice about it and get rid of the fee schedule. That's the main issue here, and I think I have mentioned that to you. The fee schedule is what has everybody up in arms. I've researched a couple of other towns, or a bunch of other towns, and I haven't found any in this vicinity that have a fee schedule. The only ones I found were like Texas and I think it was Rhode Island and something else. So, like I said, if you could just think about it and get rid of the fee schedule, then I think really you would have no problem and everybody would be fine with it.
Do you think, Al, if you don't mind me asking, do you think that your organization would be able to find any volunteers that would fit into the criteria that I had listed previously for traffic safety? If we were able to come to a means where you, I don't know, if your organization may have retired police officers, okay.
I think cadets are part of it.
That would
you
be
know,
a
the young
great
cadets.
conversation to have, because you annually speak with the chief, a great conversation to have. Say, we'd love to allow some volunteers to help out in order to defer some of the manpower. Is there a way to do that?
That's really, Pat, you should talk to.
But John, again, you're talking about a specific parade that does, it seems that
No,
you
no, no.
do everything
In
right.
concept, it's for every event. If there's no volunteers, you can always, if we have a core group of volunteers, every event should be able to be covered with these volunteers, whether it be from the group that's making application or the group that's already come forward and said, I love the community, I love the events that they put on, I want to volunteer how I can. But if the organizations can also discuss this, that's a great thing to have, because that'll make a big difference in regards to manpower, which seems to be the only reason for a fee schedule.
Well, I know our parade does, but talking about all the other parades,
You know
I
why
mean,
we
none of the other towns have fee schedules. You know, what is it gonna be, a couple of $1,000s? I mean, that, you know, a couple of $1,000s out of our budget would get rid of a band. And that means a lot, because you want, that's the whole main of these parades, especially St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Columbus Day Parade, are the bands, and we have to pay for them, and this is all through fundraising. So for the minimal amount of money that it would really cost for your, you know, manpower, we don't see why there should be a fee schedule.
Isn't what we said, that we're not going to charge the fee?
For this year. But in here, you're changing some of the
Doesn't have
wording,
a
some of the
year.
wording's just, they'll be set a public hearing.
Yeah, I was
And
gonna
which is
say-
great, you'll have a public hearing before anything for a following year, but if you could just totally get rid of it. So, I mean, I think that seems to be consensus with a lot of people. So we are asking for you to reconsider and just to get rid of that and make a couple of the other changes like people are requesting.
Okay,
That's it.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. Yeah. Anyone else?
Could I just ask, and Allison can come back, or anyone that wants to come up? You don't have to, it's not a challenge, it's more of a question. If, let's just hypothetically say we get rid of the fee schedule, even though right now it's set at 0, and we're not looking to set it. And let's just envision 6 years down the road, we have a whole new board here.
Right.
So if they wanted to set a fee, they'd have to have a hearing the way we're proposing it. Or if they wanted to add a fee, they'd amend this ordinance and have another public hearing, and thus put a fee in place. This, if we take out the fee schedule, my point is, it's not guaranteed that it's never, ever gonna come, depending upon some board in the future. Right now, I'll
Correct.
speak one of five. I understand the fee, but I'm against it because it is part of what makes this community. Going back to what caused this idea of a fee schedule, it goes all the way back to Chief Johnson, previous. So when we talk about like the chief, and Lieutenant Carr wrote the letter, or the ordinance a long time ago, with Chief Mike Johnson. So Mike Kazari worked on it a little bit, understands it, and is in agreement with it, just like the board is. But it was also Mike Johnson, when we were looking at overtime, of if you add up all the events, not just one or two events, and not just, we're not singling out you guys here in the audience. You add up all the events, as Faith just read them out, it comes to about $85,000 to $90,000 of overtime. When you look at our overtime budget, we always were trying to say, okay, how can we mitigate overtime budget? How can we mitigate the overtime costs for the highway or for the police? Mike Johnson said, well, why don't you do a parade ordinance and charge some fee to offset a little bit of the cost? Because when you start looking at $80,000 to $90,000 on a $500,000 or $600,000 overtime expenditure for the year, you're looking at close to 20%, 15% of your overtime is due to event here, event there, event there. Now, I agree with you guys that I love the events, and the events make this community. I'm part of some of the events, I'm not part of all of the events. But I agree with that. But there's thousands of residents that don't go to all of the events, or only handpick. Or there's fixed income people that says, I can't drive around the lake because there's a race, and my tax dollars, that I'm not participating in this or appreciating this, that public funds are going to provide service to that. Again, I believe you need it because it's a community. But the reason why we're thinking this, the reason why Mike Johnson, he's not here right now, but why he did it 5, 6 years ago, or even 4 years ago, was, again, to try to mitigate. I will tell you, with the new chief, the police department has been helping us with overtime, so you have to give them credit. Also, bringing in the sheriff now has also helped, because we have another way of scheduling better and to control overtime. And if we're controlling overtime, we don't need a fee schedule. And that's one reason why this board right now is saying, okay, we're talking about a fee schedule, but we're all saying 0 for this year. And if everything's controlled next year, 0 next year. And it could keep going on and on and on if everything is controlled. Now, if things get out of hand, we may have to relook at it. But I'll end the way I started. Even if we take out the fee schedule, does not mean another board of 5 new individuals does not put a fee schedule in, as simple as modifying the ordinance with a public hearing, or as Mr. Lombardi is recommending, create a fee schedule. It's 0, but if we do set one, it has to have a public hearing. It's basically the same thing. There's no guarantee, is my point, but we hear you loud and clear. There's no
Being that
fee
it's in
schedule.
there, it's there. So another board,
No,
another
I
board is
wouldn't-
gonna
I
say,
wouldn't-
oh, well, it's in here, let's have a public hearing because we're gonna have it there. You know, if you have it not in there,
I hear you. I
right,
just-
it can be brought up again, and it will, you know, it may be. But we're just
I'm sure it
asking
will
for
be
now.
if costs get out of hand. I'm sure it will be, but I
Well, then
get what
everybody
you're
will
saying.
probably have to take their action then, but, you know, because why have it here if it's gonna cost us more money? And then a parade can go to another town. And nobody wants to do that because,
I
you
agree.
know, and
I-
I know none of you want that either, but, you know,
Other than
the fee
that-
schedule is the biggest issue right now that everybody has. As far as I know, I shouldn't speak for other people, but that is my issue, is the fee schedule.
If you don't mind, is there anyone here who wants to talk about anything on the parade ordinance other than a fee schedule?
Fair enough.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, so Allison, 4413, the fee schedule for the parades, just wipe that out, right? Okay,
Right, so that's,
all right.
in reality, next town board, I'm fine taking out a fee schedule, because in 2 years, if 3 new people get elected for some reason, you know what?
this-
We can have this discussion again in 2
This
years.
code is
but-
also mimics Yorktown's, like, almost to a T, so and they don't have a fee schedule, so.
They have a spectacular Veterans Day parade, and in comparison to what we have here,
Most ordinances are shared.
tough.
No, I know that, and I know,
you
because
nitpick
they,
and
they
you-
are
and
all
you
aboard,
get the
all
language
across the
from
board, they
other
all
towns.
have the same writing and everything.
And they still
it's
are.
all with the chief of police, and,
Yeah.
but
I'm sure.
some of they don't have fee schedules, so that's just what I'm proposing.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Allison. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Christine Hickey. I'm the newest member of the committee, and I'm also a citizen of Mahopac. I'd like to bring everybody's attention to Section 44.6, the standards of issuance, and I'm concerned about the language, the subjective language in A, B, and C. I'd like that, as we're editing this document, to take a better look at The subjective words like not substantially, a great number of police officers unduly interferes, based on the opinion, and maybe a professional opinion, of one person, the chief of police or the designee. I think that if this law is going to be rewritten, that before anybody could decide on whether this should be approved or not approved, that there should be definition to that, so that one person isn't given this subjective overview of each parade, because the St. Patrick's Day Parade is much bigger than some of the other events, and I don't think it should be left up to the opinion of one person with this subjective language.
I'll let you, that point B, actually, I remember the exact event that was proposed for. And the reason why, I remember sitting with the chief of police, the lieutenant at the time, and it was an event that was going to be cutting off the entire town from 52 on the Kent line, coming all the way through 6 out to Somers. And the chief of police at that time, as well as the lieutenant, said that is going to be an absolute impossibility to run that route for the reason of the length that the parade was going to be, and it was going to cut off the thoroughfare for the entire northern part of the town to the hospital. God forbid there was something that needed to be done, which I thought, you know what, cut off the road, it's easy to stop a parade if you have to. But that was a difference of opinions at that point. But that specific one, my thought is, while I agree with you leaving language like that, when it comes to public safety, I'm going to leave it in the one person's hand as the chief of police for their public safety. If it's in their professional opinion, I'm leaving it with them.
I still think there should be some definition to what that might mean. If you're going to put a law into effect, there should be some definition so that people can understand that they've been treated fairly based on decisions that were made. What is substantial? What's unduly? What does it mean? I think there should be some definition to that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dave?
I just have a couple of comments or questions about this. And one of them is, I agree with you, Frank, what you said about things happening at the same time, because there's one of them, I think it's the Columbus Day Parade and the Merchants Festival that happen at the same time. So then you have 6 and 6N closed at the same time, basically, and it just shuts down the whole town. And it seems incredibly ridiculous for them both to be taking place on the same day at the same time.
I think actually those are in conjunction with each other. I don't think those are separate.
Well,
They're not
it's done
two separate
intentionally.
entities. They are one.
There's a reason why.
Right, but you got the parade closing down 6
I understand
and
what you're
6N.
saying. All I'm saying is that that is a joint
Okay,
venture,
but
for lack of
it's-
a better word.
Well, what I'm saying then is it shouldn't be.
That's
but-
your opinion.
The, and also, that's a county and a state road. Are county and state permits required to close those roads? I've asked this before and never gotten an answer.
Yes,
So
yes.
shouldn't that be a part of this ordinance, that whoever's going to put on this event gets a state or a county permit as necessary to hold the event?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
they don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I know in the past that it's just ignored. And then the other
Yeah, the
question.
chamber does. Yeah, I know the chamber does.
So
cha-
shouldn't that be a
The
part of this?
chamber does apply for a permit from the state and the county. Actually, they're both state roads. 6 is a state road and 6N is a state road. So it's a
I thought
state.
6N was county road.
No, the county maintains it in the during the winter months. They plow and sand it under a contract.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a state road. Yeah, under,
So maybe that should be added, that the applicant has to procure the right permits
That's a good
necessary
point.
from the state. And then the other thing I was thinking was to avoid police overtime, since event operators obviously aren't going to pay for all that overtime, can their volunteers direct traffic and make it less necessary for all that police coverage? And all the taxpayers are eating that cost.
Ex the union president when he's here.
It's contract negotiations.
That's a question for him, not for us.
Okay, those were my thoughts. Thanks.
okay, is anyone else that would like to speak on this open public hearing? come on up at this time if you'd like to. If not, okay. Thank you all for being here. You've all given valuable input with respect to this parade ordinance. We appreciate that. As I said earlier before the meeting started, we thank you all for being here, and we are going to take all of your comments and all of your input under advisement, and we will get back to you when we make the changes to the ordinance. Before we do anything, once we make the changes, we're required to have an additional public hearing to address those changes. So we'll do that. We'll announce that when the time comes. I'm not really sure when that may be at this point, but we will continue to work on this, and we'll be back with the proposed changes in the ordinance.
Before we close the public hearing, I'm totally fine. Very valid point that in 2 years, when there's a new possible majority on the board, 4 years, 6 years, they could easily add a fee schedule. Can we just take that, can we say that we'll take that out since we've already talked about what we're going to change anyway?
I don't like the direction you're going.
Taking out just 4413. This way everyone could go home, rest easy, just sleep.
I'm fine
And if
with
another
that.
town board thinks that they need to at that point to
They
add a
can-
fee schedule, let them do a fee
They can add
schedule.
it at that time. Yeah.
And you know what it may be? It may be a fee schedule for an event that's only requiring that 50 or more man-hours, because there are events that'll close down a town for a day if they so choose. So we may need you all back here in order to support that if it is so, because maybe that fee schedule will be something that's needed. But as of right now, I think without that, most people can rest easy.
Good evening to the town board. I just want to thank you for having this public hearing. My name is Tara Keegan. I'm an executive board member for the Putnam County Emerald Association. I just came up with something that could help out with volunteer efforts and getting the youth involved. I know that was always things with county concerns and town board, getting the youth involved. I mean, a lot of juniors and seniors at the local high schools want to build up their resume, especially for college experience. I know, based on the county website, they have opportunity for internships for like local high school. Maybe the town board, as a suggestion, could put something on their website promoting the youth to come out for volunteer stuff. I mean, the National Honor Society and the local Rotary clubs for these schools do require some community service. Maybe it's something like the town could address for these public events, that's such something to bring the youth out to help clean up the roads. It'll benefit the town and also benefit them as well. That's just a suggestion. I mean, I know that's always been a concern throughout the county, not just the town of Carmel, but as the county, to get the youth involved more with the local municipalities and how to improve the community. So that's just a suggestion. Even if the organizations want to even like notify the local superintendents, like the school district, the high school, saying, bring the kids out, get them involved. I mean, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts also, they want to go for Eagle Scout, and the gold, for girls, was it the gold, silver, the gold award? I've never been involved with Girl Scouts, but that's maybe a suggestion to like promote them, saying, look, this could help you out as well. That's my suggestion.
Okay, great suggestion.
I do appreciate, I understand the main concern as the board, to illustrate safety. I think that's everyone's concern here as well, but I'm just bringing up just a simple thing, maybe to help benefit the town with improvements.
I think that's a great idea. The only change that I would suggest is that, you know, these parades and whatnot, they're not functions of the town per se. So I think it's better if, you know, your organization, the Italian American Club, all these different groups, if they need interns, if they need people to do community service, you know, I think you should be asking the schools for that.
I was just bringing up a suggestion, even possibly, even if you guys
Because you would know how
want
many
to-
you would need, you would know, you know, those kind of things. And I think you would sign off on their community service.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even maybe just a suggestion for even you
Yeah, no, I
guys,
think
for
it's-
future
just to
events
put
as
it
well.
on.
If you hold a community event, that it's also something you can
Right.
target as a whole. I mean, that's just my only suggestion.
Thank you.
We actually, when we have the townwide community cleanup and compliance week, and we have 1 or 2 days that we set aside to clean up the streets in Carmel, we actually contact the schools and we ask for any students that would like to participate in that and volunteer for community service credits. We do that, we make that announcement, and we do get quite a few students that want to participate and get involved. So you'll see them walking, we provide vests, traffic safety vests for them, and the orange bags, the orange trash bags are provided to them, and there's designated streets throughout the town that they go out to. It's usually their neighborhoods. We'll ask them to go through their neighborhoods, and they do a good job with that, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to put
No, that's a
it on
point
the
well
record
taken,
for the
and,
hearing.
yeah, the more we can get our youth involved in community service efforts, the better it is for the whole community, and it keeps them involved in things. And that's good for them, too, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So,
Move to,
that what you-
move to,
Yeah, just take out 4413, everybody goes home, gets a drink at the watering hole or 7-Eleven on the way home, and they go home happy.
what are you saying?
Take out fee schedule, everything else stays. Well, I do want to,
Well, I think
There are
we-
some-
I think that.
oh, yeah,
we
there's
have
going to be
take
some
the other
modifications, but I think just to
suggestions.
let everybody here go home,
Yeah.
if you guys
Yeah.
are at least in agreement on the 4413, at least this way, we're not, hi, Tracy,
Hi, Trace.
please.
Do you want to come up, Tracy? Okay.
You got it.
Nobody can hear it?
Tracy,
You
you
have to,
have
I'm
to come
sorry.
up to the, sorry.
Tracy.
The town has been very good to the relay, and I think Jonathan has a good idea. Speaking for myself, I don't know about the other events, I would be more than happy to, I was sitting there, Jen said, well, we use the cadets, and you use the cadets, and, I have volunteer, retired police, fire police. I would be more than happy to work with Chief Kazari and say, maybe the time has come for us to say, instead of me saying, I've got the cadets, I've got 4 cadets from this time to this time. Maybe we need to come up with some structure where we're a little more specific on what we have when, and that would,
Could definitely work.
some
Open
sort of
communication,
working.
it's just a matter of
Some
working
sort of
together.
working document. Who do you have? What's the contact number? How many do you think you have? I don't think you would want just the cadets. I still think you're
No,
going to want,
absolutely.
right. But maybe it would help with the numbers, so I would be willing to work on that with you.
Perfect, thank you so much.
Tracy, I just want to say that, and I understand what you're suggesting, and I agree with you, but a lot of these traffic posts that we need to have them manned by patrolmen, police officers, because the public these days, sadly, they don't listen to police officers when they're at these traffic posts. They disobey them, and you know what they're going to do if they have volunteers there and they know they're volunteers? They're just going to give them more of a hard time. So we do need a law enforcement present at designated posts, traffic posts throughout the community when there's an event. But if we could get, like REACT sometimes helps us out. They're a great organization. We've used REACT. They have no problem volunteering, helping out the community. But we still need, just so everyone understands, we're not looking to eliminate police, law enforcement for these events. You need law enforcement present there, all right? There's no question about that. But we may be able to use some volunteers as well, maybe alongside of the police officers. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, no, there would never, I would hope, there would never be an event held publicly where it's nothing but volunteers coordinating public
Oh,
safety.
yeah.
It's got disaster written all over it.
All
so-
over it, yeah, absolutely. So, all right, once again, thank you all for attending this evening. I appreciate you coming out, and we do appreciate your comments that you made this evening. So,
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
okay, motion by Councilman Lupinacci, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Suggest we take a 5-minute recess?
Yeah, all right, we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
5 minutes.
Brett called.
You know where I'm going.
Brett was on the
Oh, he
phone.
did?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What's his name again? Is it Dominic? Dominic. Okay. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to begin our town board voting meeting that was scheduled for this evening, and thank you for allowing us to take a 5-minute break to allow our guests that were here this evening, the public, to leave the room. Okay, so for the record, all town board members are present with us this evening, as is our town clerk, Ann Spofford, down to my right, and Greg Fulchetti, the Town of Carmel Town Council, is all the way down to my left. All right, we're going to begin the meeting with resolution number 1, and it's a resolution authorizing the rescheduling of a public hearing. And Councilman Schneider, would you read number 1?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the rescheduling of a public hearing at Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, from Wednesday, January 20th, 2016, to Wednesday, February 17th, 2016, at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, on a proposed local law enacting Chapter 15 of the Code of the Town of Carmel entitled Employment Fingerprint Inquiries, and be it further resolved that Town Clerk Ann Spofford is hereby authorized and instructed to publish and post the necessary notices in the official newspaper of the town and on the town bulletin board regarding this public hearing. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 2, well, it's not a resolution, but it's to accept the town board minutes of November 4th, 18th, and December 2nd, and December 16th of 2015. Need a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Lupinacci, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right, next, number 3 is a resolution authorizing the deletion to the active list of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. Councilman Lombardi, would you read number 3?
Resolve the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the deletion of the following names to the active list of the Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. Lauren Eichen, Carmel, New York. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 4, is a resolution releasing a bond for tax map number 55.6-1-51 for Glenida Realty Incorporated in the amount of $278,000. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read number 4?
Whereas applications have been made by Glenida Realty, Inc. for the total release of a site plan bond posted in accordance with the land subdivision and/or zoning regulations of the Town of Carmel for tax map number 55.6-1-51, 1819 Route 6, Carmel, New York, and whereas said application has been reviewed by the town engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., and release of the bond has been recommended and approved by the town engineer and the Town of Carmel Planning Board. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the release of the site plan bond posted for tax map number 55.6-1-51, the Guarantee Company of North America, USA, bond number 7609037, in the amount of $278,000. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is a resolution declaring certain equipment obsolete and authorizing disposal of same. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read number 5?
Sure. Resolved that upon the recommendation of Michael Simone, Highway Superintendent for the Town of Carmel, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby declares the following equipment to be obsolete and hereby authorizes its disposal in accordance with town law, including but not limited to disposal pursuant to Town Law, Section 64-2A. Adele Inspiron, 1100 computer serial number 35528046445. Adele Inspiron, 1100 computer serial number 28763114005. A Gateway Solar computer serial number 022128386. A Toshiba Tecra A7 serial number 5612637Q. An IBM Correcting Selectric third series number 4779694. An IBM Correcting Selectric 3 serial number 6705-116157-142. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi? Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution authorizing equipment purchase for the Town of Carmel Highway Department. Councilman Schneider, would you read 6, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation and request of Town of Carmel Superintendent of Highways Michael Simone, hereby authorizes the purchase of a Fisher 2.5-yard polyelectric sander from Hudson River Truck and Trailer, Poughkeepsie, New York, in accordance with the proposal dated December 21st, 2015, and at a cost not to exceed $5,325. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried on that one. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number 7, is a resolution authorizing the payment for equipment repair to the Town of Carmel Highway Department. Councilman Lombardi, would you read 7?
Resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation and request of Town of Carmel Superintendent of Highways, Michael Simone, hereby authorizes the payment to Ben Funk, Inc., Hudson, New York, in the amount of $9,963.65 for repairs performed to Town of Carmel Highway Department equipment in accordance with the invoice dated December 24, 2015. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 8, is a resolution authorizing equipment purchase for the Town of Carmel Highway Department. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 8, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation and request of the Town of Carmel Superintendent of Highways, Michael Simone, hereby authorizes the purchase of plow blades materials from Chemung Supply Corp., Elmira, New York, under Orange County bid contract number RFB OC 05915, in accordance with the proposal dated January 12, 2016, and at the cost not to exceed $20,389. I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 9, is a resolution authorizing the renewal of a licensing agreement with the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, also known as ASCAP. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read number 9?
Shall resolve that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the renewal of the license agreement with ASCAP for public performances of copyrighted music for the year 2016 at an annual rate of $336. And be it further resolved that James Gilchrist, Director of Recreation and Parks, is hereby authorized to sign any necessary documents and/or reports concerning said renewal on behalf of the Town of Carmel. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 10, is a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for grant funding for a program, an annual assessment, Town of Carmel Department of Recreation and Parks. Councilman Schneider, would you read number 10?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the submission of the 2015 Program Annual Assessment to the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for Recreation Programs, and be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all necessary documentation required in connection with the aforesaid grant application. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 12, is a resolution authorizing submission of an application for grant funding for the Town of Carmel Police Department. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read number 12?
Is it Frank?
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Councilman Lombardi, number 12.
Resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the submission of the 2016 Program Annual Assessment to the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for Youth Bureau Programs, and be it further resolved that Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all necessary documentation required in connection with the aforesaid grant application. I offer the resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next up is number 12. It's a resolution authorizing the submission of an application for grant funding program, annual assessment, Town of Carmel Police Department. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read number 12?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the submission of the 2016 Program Annual Assessment to the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for Youth Bureau Programs, and be it further resolved that the Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all necessary documentation required in connection with the ASSED 4 grant application. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 13, is a resolution authorizing the awarding of a bid for the dry cleaning of police department uniforms. Susie, would you read number 13?
Sure. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel has previously authorized advertisement for the solicitation of bids for dry cleaning of police department uniforms for the Town of Carmel Police Department in fiscal year 2016, and whereas such bids were received and opened on December 15th, 2015, and whereas Chief of Police Michael Kazari has recommended the awarding of the bid as set forth hereafter. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby awards the dry cleaning of police department uniforms to Touch of Class Dry Cleaning, 1862 Route 6, Carmel, New York, the lowest responsible bidder who met specifications. I offer this resolution as read.
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Next resolution, number 14, is a resolution authorizing the awarding of bid for the purchase of police department uniforms and equipment. Councilman Schneider, would you read 14?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel has previously authorized advertisement for the solicitation of bids for police department uniforms for the Town of Carmel Police Department in the fiscal year 2016, and whereas such bids were received and opened on December 15, 2015, and whereas Chief of Police Michael Kazari has recommended the awarding of the bid as set forth hereafter, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby awards the bids for police department uniforms to New England Uniform, 356 Main Street, Danbury, Connecticut, the lowest responsible bidder, who met specifications at the following bid prices: Flying Cross Gore-Tex Public Safety Jacket, $225 each; Flying Cross Single-Breasted Dress Coat, $225 each; Summer Cap, $8.28 each; Winter Cap, $8.28 each; Raincoat, $90 each; Summer Shirt, $48 each; Winter Shirt, $65 each; Pants Flying Cross Wool Blend, $85 each; Vertex Tactical Pants, $49 each; Short Sleeve Vertex Polo, $47 each; Long Sleeve Vertex Polo, $50 each. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 15, is a resolution waiving the notice of requirement in Section 64 of the New York State ABC law, also known as Alcohol Beverage Control Law, with respect to a liquor license for the La Casa Borgatti Incorporated DBA La Casa Borgatti. Councilman Lombardi, would you read this, please?
Whereas the representative and/or proprietors of La Casa Borgatti, Inc., doing business as La Casa Borgatti, 62 Glenada Avenue, Carmel, New York, has advised of the intention to apply for an on-premises liquor license for which 30 days advance notice of such application must be sent to the municipality. And whereas the notice required by Article 5 of the ABC law may be waived by the Town Board. And whereas the Town Board does not intend to comment upon the application referred herein, now be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby waives the 30-day notice requirement contained in Article 5 of the Alcohol and Beverage Control Law, and state that it does not intend to offer any comment regarding such application for a liquor license at the premises referred to herein, and be it further resolved the Town Board, be it further resolved that Town Clerk Ann Spofford is hereby authorized to sign a waiver of said notice on behalf of the Town of Carmel. I hereby offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider.
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough.
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, number, what'd you just read, Frank, 16? I'm sorry, you have 16. Councilman Lupinacci, 16 is a resolution granting open development status to Wixon Pond Estates, subdivision tax map number 53.20-1-19.
I will not be reading the 2.5-page document. It was in front of us 2 years ago, and it was mentioned yesterday. In summary, I'm going to offer this resolution as pre-filed with the town clerk, Ann Spofford, which is to grant open space status for lot numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the proposed Putnam Engineering and Architectural Vision for a subdivision plot prepared for Wixon Pond Estates. So again, I offer this resolution as pre-filed with the town clerk.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Abstain.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. It was 4 yeses and 1 abstention. The motion carried. Okay, next resolution is number 17. It's a resolution accepting a proposal for the landfill monitoring services for the Town of Carmel landfill. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 17, please?
Yes, resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of Town of Carmel Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes the acceptance of the proposal of Zion Environmental LLC, Middletown, New York, for landfill monitoring services in and for the Town of Carmel landfill at an annual cost not to exceed $8,200, in accordance with the terms of the proposal submitted January 13th, 2016. And be it further resolved that upon presentation of insurance certificates in form acceptable to Town Council, Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to execute any and all necessary contract documentation to effect acceptance of these proposals upon the terms authorized herein. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by who?
John?
Councilman Lupinacci. Okay, seconded by John Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 18, is a resolution authorizing the attendance at a seminar. Councilman Schneider, would you read 18, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., to attend the seminar offered by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for Federal Emergency Management Act levy training in Pleasant Valley, New York, on March 9th, 2016. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel authorizes payment of reasonable and necessary expenses incurred in connection therewith upon audit. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Second?
That's not a misprint.
Okay. All right, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution, 19, is a resolution authorizing out-of-district water connection, Carmel Water District Number 3. It's Genek Realty, tax map 74.11-1-21. Councilman Lombardi, would you read number 18?
Resolve the Town...
I'm sorry, 19.
Resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Water District Number 3, upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes the connection to Carmel Water District Number 3 water supply for Genek Realty, tax map number 74.1-1-21, subject to the following terms and conditions: entry into an out-of-district user agreement in form acceptable to Town Council, payment of back capital charges currently in the amount of $21,044.94 to the Carmel Water District Number 3, payment of application fees and meter fees, issuance of permit from Town of Carmel Engineering Department, issuance of all permits from any regulatory agencies having jurisdiction. Be it further resolved that upon the satisfaction of all conditions set forth herein, Town Supervisor Kenneth Schmidt is hereby authorized to sign the full approval of out-of-district user agreement, as well as any and other and all further documentation necessary to effectuate the authorization contained herein. I offer the resolution as read.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, is it? Okay. All right, next resolution, number 20. This is the final resolution this evening, and it's a resolution authorizing the equipment purchase and installation for Carmel Sewer District Number 2 wastewater treatment plant. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read this?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners for Carmel Sewer District Number 2, and upon the recommendation and request of the Town of Carmel Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes the purchase of a variable frequency drive for one of the process aeration blowers at the Carmel Sewer District Number 2 wastewater treatment plant from Mid-Island Electric, Newburgh, New York, under New York State Contract Number PC 67232, at the cost not to exceed $7,142.85, in accordance with the proposal dated January 7, 2016, and be it further resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Carmel Sewer District Number 2, and upon the recommendation and request of the Town of Carmel Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes the installation of said equipment by Owens Electric, Mahopac, New York, at a cost not to exceed $1,760, and be it further resolved that upon presentation of insurance certificates in form acceptable to Town Council, the work and installation authorized herein may commence. I offer this resolution as read.
Seconded.
Who seconded that?
Jonathan?
Okay, seconded by Councilman Schneider. Roll call vote.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Bonacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, there's probably nobody, are you a reporter? Now, who are you with? The Examiner? Okay, and you're a reporter also. We know you, Bob. All right, so you're probably not going to want to come up and speak on any agenda items, correct? Or new business? Open forum, new business? Okay, guys. All right. Since there's no one here in the audience that wants to come up and discuss any agenda items or any new business with the town, we're just going to make some final announcements, and then we're going to close the meeting. This is done already. All right, the Town of Carmel Recreation and Parks Department, this is the 2016 winter classes. Children's classes, youth, teen, and adult classes, and the registration is in session now. To register for fall classes, come to these Carmel, is this old, or is this a fall classes? I wonder if this, we did this one already. Wait a second.
See, I read that.
Did you read this one, Susie?
He's not proofreading these things anymore, is he?
Yeah. Yeah, this, it says, yeah, well, fall.
No date on it.
No date, there's no date on it. All right. So to register for Town of Carmel recreation classes, they're over at 790 Long Pond Road at Sycamore Park in Mahopac. They're open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. or mail-in registration, including family registration form, activity registration form with full payment, make check payable to Carmel Recreation. For more information, I'm going to give you their phone number over at Parks and Recreation. It's 845-628-7888. And they have a website here also, www.carmelnewyork.org/recreation, or like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at the Town of Carmel Recreation Department. So any information about any programs that might be going on over at Sycamore Park, give them a call at 628-7888. They'll be able to fill you in on what's available now, what you can register for. Okay, I think that's it. I don't have any further announcements. Does anyone else? Jonathan, Frank?
I just have one quick one. I'd like to remind the residents that the e-waste drop-off location is no longer on 6th End, on the county property where the salt shed is. It has been moved up the road on McAlpin Drive. Too often, we have a sign there, but sadly, people who are dropping off e-waste apparently cannot read, and I don't mean to be sarcastic, but there, on a number of occasions, been stereos, large-screen TVs dropped right in front of the sign that says you cannot drop off there, and the location on McAlpin Avenue. So please, if anyone sees anyone dropping off, please call the police. If anyone thinks about dropping off something on Route 6 in Mahopac Falls, near the, again, county salt shed, please do not, and please bring it up the top of the hill right here, opposite the town garage, where we have a bin, and there's signs up there where you can drop it off. Again, the town is offering e-waste drop-off. The location has changed, and please do not just drop it on 6th End, because we're sending town employees over there, the county's getting upset, and we are not allowed to drop off there anymore, so.
Did you give me the hours of operation here for the e-waste container? Saturdays from 10 to 2.
There you go.
Every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the e-waste recycling container is open. It's right here, as John said, on McAlpin Avenue, just opposite the highway garage. Bring your e-waste to that location, and if you're not, if you don't know if it's accepted at that location, the e-waste that you may have, you can go on our website, carmelnewyork.org, and it will list, there's a link on there that will list what's accepted and what's not accepted at the e-waste container. Not everything electric is accepted. I believe air conditioners, because of the Freon, are not accepted there. Any white metal, refrigerators, washers, or dryers, obviously we don't accept that. It's really televisions, computers, old radios, and things like that. But, so if you don't know, if you're not sure if what you have will be accepted, just check the website before you drive over to the container, and the operator there will tell you that it's not accepted. So you can find out ahead of time. But every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., it is manned by a Carmel staff member that will help you with your item if you need help with that. So, but please look into that. And as Jod said, do not drop your old e-waste off at the old location, which is the county salt shed. It's been happening, it seems, on a regular basis, so please comply with that and hang on to it until Saturday at 10 a.m., then you can dispose of it legally. All right, that's all I have, and John has, thank you for that, John. And Susie, you have anything?
Nope.
No? Okay, all right, we do not have executive session tonight, so we're going to close the meeting right from here, so I need a motion to close.
So move.
Second?
So moved by Councilman Lombardi, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well. We'll be back here next Wednesday on January 27th for a town board work session at 7 p.m. See you then.